Hello, everybody. It is Kristin Windsor with the Kristin Chronicles. This is the first time in years that I identify with the name Kristin. And with all of the work we've been doing with my chiropractic case study, a huge, ginormous, mega, ultra, out of this world shout out to Dr. Luka Music. The work that he is doing gave me my life back. I definitely wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now about educational things and the hope of this world. I might not even be existing at all if it were not for this man. So highly recommend checking out his incredible work. Just absolutely earth-shattering brilliance. I am developing my theory of what it means to live with a dissociative identity. And so all of this is just theorizing based on extensive knowledge, of course, and experience also, and extensive research and collaboration with other people studying neuropsychology and such. But part of my theory is that for those with DID, dissociative identity disorder, those living with a multi-conscious mind, the corpus callosum within the brain didn't fully develop. Maybe partially, maybe not at all. Maybe it's there and it's really thin. It didn't fully develop. The corpus callosum is the only reason the left and right brain hemispheres communicate. Most minds experience a fairly integrated life experience because they are utilizing their left and right brain hemispheres evenly and at the same time. People like me don't have that opportunity to be using that left and right brain hemispheres in that way. On her video, The Stroke of Insight, this woman, blanking her name right now, but Stroke of Insight, check it out. It's on a TED Talks. She wrote a book and such. She was able to observe the specific happenings while she had a stroke. And she's describing the left and right brain hemispheres in her talk. And as she describes them, she says, left hemisphere, this and this, right hemisphere, this and this. She says, it's almost like they have different personalities. Yeah, Spooky Bear. I know. I laughed too. Pookie's over there. I died laughing. I literally died cackling. It's like our fight parts came out and we're like losing their minds. Yeah, Spooky Bear, are you so excited about all this? He's over there like, Mama, this is crazy. So, corpus callosum. Without that, your left and right brain hemispheres aren't communicating. And so, watching The Stroke of Insight, she's describing the experience of having a stroke in her left brain hemisphere, and I am shocked at how much it mirrors my life experience. Not just during a stroke, but my entire life. Particularly during periods of stress, which is when dissociation would be peaked. And so, left and right brain hemispheres, it's almost like they have two different personalities. A quote by her. I think her name was Julia Taylor or something like that. And so my theory is that those living with dissociative identity disorder, aka those living with a dissociative identity, because I don't like associating my identity with a disorder. It's not healthy for the brain to have the word identity and disorder in the same thing. It messes with your mind. And so it's been very helpful to radically reframe it as living with a dissociative identity. It's just part of who I am. It doesn't have to define anything about who I am, what I'm worth, or what I'm capable of. And so my theory is that those living with a dissociative identity, their corpus callosum never developed, either not at all or not completely, but it's not developed. And in this process of not being developed, because there's not this integrative experience, as you're growing up, life experience is coming from one brain hemisphere or the other instead of both. And because of this aspect, the brain hemispheres do not develop evenly. There's typically more parts of consciousness associated with trauma than functioning with normal life. That's just typically how it goes for those living with structural dissociation. Hello. Including those living with a dissociative identity. You finally stop crying and say you're going to come hang out over here? He's like, yeah, Ma, I'm here. And so, I know, right? I know, I just want to cuddle you forever. Oh, bite my nose. I dare you. I dare you, little man. Okay. So those living with a dissociative identity, the corpus callosum never fully developed, causing the left and right brain hemispheres to develop unevenly. And so as stress happens or as certain things are happening, the right brain hemisphere is much more active because that's where trauma parts are, and other aspects of life experience, including the fact that the right brain hemisphere is where most of your child experiences are from. So it's more active then anyway, as the left brain hemisphere is still developing. So my theory is that the corpus callosum never developed, not at all, or not fully, or whatever. It doesn't matter. We'll get to specifics someday, right? This is all just theorizing for now, and hopefully these concepts will inspire new research to be started. So corpus callosum never fully developed, causing the left and right brain hemispheres to develop unevenly. And over time, particularly if there's any other extra stressors or traumas, which that's just kind of life, so generally there are for people like me. And if you don't have much of a tolerance for handling stress anyway, it wouldn't even take something super severe to cause an increase in fragmentation once that's already begun. And so the right brain hemisphere develops more, leaving the left brain hemisphere with a deficit. This is my theory. And it plays in with my other theory I've been developing for the past 2 years called the inside-out theory of consciousness. And so with this theory of what it means to live with a dissociative identity, if the corpus callosum never fully developed and the left brain hemisphere has a deficit and the right one is like fatigued and overworking to try and compensate for all these things that are not operating optimally, it causes a life experience where your inside, where your consciousness goes inside out. And I talk a lot in other content about like the symptoms of an inside out consciousness and what that like looks like in manifestation and such. And so it all ties together. So I'm excited to be finding the neurobiological components that can explain my life experience, because I can go back to all of my life. I know I feel this in my body. All of my life, and validate the struggles I had that were completely ignored, completely neglected, completely invalidated, completely laughed at, completely brushed aside, everything. And I get to go back and be there for all these parts of myself and empower our healing when no one else did. And the hope is to use this knowledge, the internal resources I've gained through this process to create positive change in the world. It's not enough for me to heal myself. I want there to be a worldwide healing epidemic. I want there to be a healing epidemic all across the frickin' world. And knowledge is power, and the more we know ourselves, the more power we have over our lives, over our being, over our healing journeys. And so if we can discover the neurobiological components to this and stop treating the symptoms and actually get to the root cause of what's happening in the brain and the body, there's going to be revived hope all around the world for people like me. And for other people as well, as they see this profound hope growing for people like me. And so exploring what it means to live with a dissociative identity, your corpus callosum never fully develops, causing there to be imbalance in the development of brain hemispheres, causing a deficit in the left brain hemisphere. And with this aspect of development, there's a variety of specifics that go along with it, including maldevelopment, or whatever the word would be, for your hypothalamus, I believe is what it was. And that helps with processing memories, regulating emotions, and regulating your autonomic nervous system. All things that experience dysregulation and symptomatic intensity when living with a dissociative identity. And so this is very validating to discover. It's very exciting to explore. And all of this is possible because of the work I'm doing with Dr. Luka Music. It's absolutely phenomenal. We're 10 months into working together, and this is only the beginning. I want to change the world, and he wants to change the world. And we are working to change the world together. So it's really, really exciting. It's a really beautiful time to be alive. None of these opportunities or resources or knowledge existed even a few decades ago. and to be exploring neuropsychology and all of these things. It's really profound. The research I was doing that helped me discover some other stuff also was done through the National Organization for Disorders of the Corpus Callosum. And so there's an actual nonprofit researching these kinds of struggles. And I'm hoping to potentially like collaborate with them or an organization that might be similar, but I feel like they're a good go-to point, and do some research on people like me, because they're doing this research, and there could be this whole nother angle of research they do that empowers their learning and healing and whatnot, and empowers my healing and the healing journeys of people like me who have these similar struggles. And it totally makes sense too why talk therapy wouldn't be effective, because if you have a deficit in the left side of your brain, your verbal cognitive function is limited, and all the majority of what your brain's trying to do has nothing to do with verbal narrative and logical patterns and categorizing and all these like really organized, structured things. And so I have experienced a deeper level of profound healing in a much faster pace, approaching myself as if I just have a right brain working. And so singing instead of talking, dancing instead of sitting, all of these things connect with the right brain hemisphere. And so if we have a deficit in our left brain hemisphere, then we can help to heal our beings by using specific tools that the right brain hemisphere is going to understand. Because if that's where our brain's more so developed, that's where our strength is at this point. And we can eventually grow and balance and bring some evenness to the life experience and the opportunities we have for learning and connection. But in the early stages, using left brain hemisphere tasks to heal, it's not possible. It causes frustration and backslide, and any progress made is slow, and there's often like relapse in progress. It's like, okay, we make this really little tedious progress. Oh, there's something happened, and now we're back here. And so if we can come up with an understanding of why that is, and then come up with new treatment approaches, the whole world is going to change. We're going to have a lot more hope. We're going to have a lot more opportunities. We're going to have a lot more personal power. So really excited. And this is all part of the dissociative identity movement. If you are not part of this, I invite you to join. It's absolutely amazing. We have a discussion going on Facebook. If you don't use Facebook, you can email me to get involved, Kristin Chronicles, DID@gmail.com. But if you do use Facebook, welcome. Come join, come hang out. It's an absolutely incredible time. We are just talking about changing the world every day. It's really cool. And all through the month of March, 2019 here, March is coming up, all through the month of March, on a daily basis or almost every day as my health allows, to create some space for my parts in case we go through rough times, as we have been. But I'm going to try to do live streams every day in the Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group. You can find it at facebook.com/groups/dissociative identity movement. I'm going to pull it up here for you guys so you can see. Oh, it's really slow. It's not loading. But it's facebook.com/groups/dissociative identity movement. So you can just search it straight into the search bar. You can just type it in the URL, facebook.com/group/dissociative identity movement. We also have an official website. I'll leave those links here below. Check those out. Check them out. Do it, I dare you. So all through the month of March, we are going to try our best to do... I know, right? I'm so tired, guys. You talk too much. Ocean has a hard time with us talking this much because she's related with the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's all rest and digest. And so speaking causes dysregulation for Ocean, but not for any other parts of consciousness. It's really fascinating. But all through the month of March, we're going to do live videos discussing the topics for the dissociative identity movement. And I'll create another video explaining how the movement's going to work, and we'll go over all that. But for now, I'm exploring what it means to live with a dissociative identity, and it has to do with brain formation. And the concept is that the brain developed, like the physical brain developed, the neurobiology happened, and then the consciousness developed on top of that to try and compensate for this. So left and right brain hemispheres don't develop. That's already a split in consciousness. right brain hemisphere is compensating for a deficit in the left, and so it grows these other consciousness to try and help it out. That's my theory. I would love, 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 love to hear what you think about it. I would love to keep this discussion going. It's very exciting. I'm doing research every single day and 3 days a week in a case study with my chiropractor, Dr. Luka Music. Absolutely phenomenal man. His work is beyond incredible. If you're in Northern California area, check him out. If you're into neurobiology, neuropsychology, neuro awesomeness, check him out. It's just amazing stuff. So I will see you in the Dissociative Identity Movement for our little discussions in March. And I am excited to read your comments below about this evolving theory I have. Thank you so much for joining the Kristin Chronicles, a healing journey of self-discovery, personal growth, and personal power reclamation. We are so blessed to be able to share in this way and grow in unity and community with hope and love. Namaste, my warrior soul friends.